Guide to Inner Spiritual Work by Rabbi Michael-ben-Pesach Portnaar. Lesson 1. There is none else beside him. 1. To whom it may concern, everything exists of two principal parts, the inner and the outer. First, the outer being lives according to the laws of the lower material world. All his life consists of intentions and actions in the category of bitterness and sweetness. There is bitterness because he sees unpleasant situations and decisions as evil, and the good and adorable are seen as good. 2. The laws of the inner being are building up according to the only creating strength and consist of the category truth and lie. This determines all his intentions and actions of the inner being. The Kabbalist always speaks to the inner person. It is the same for all the holy books. Only the inner person can react adequately at callings of an amateur Kabbalist and distills the truth and senses lying in his words. Refer to drawing number 1 prior to this lesson. This all happens according to the laws of agreement to quality. Spiritual information demands a similar receiver for the receiving. When the feeling is not developed yet, it is possible to receive already, but only when there is a correct orientation in the inner person. It is written, "There is none else beside him," meaning there is no other power in the world with the ability to do anything against him. And what one sees, namely the things in the world that deny the household of above, is because it is his will, and it is deemed a correction, called the left rejects and the right adducts, meaning that what is rejected by the left is also considered a correction. So both hands can't draw together. The only creating strength of the Creator created it in this way, one world opposite the other. First there is the battle, and afterwards the unity. The right hand shows us the giving strength, Hasidim, love and affection, the attracting strength. There's no limit in the giving. But Guverot is the repulsive strength, limitation. It is impossible to receive in an uncorrected situation. Om al mant lekabel, the egoistic receiving. When strengths are working at the same time, a corrected situation, the line in the middle is created. And that agrees with the true reality, the dynamic balance of strengths between right and left. This means there are things in the world which from the beginning aim to divert a person from the right way, and they reject him from holiness. And the benefit from these rejections is to receive through them a need and a complete desire for God to help him, because he sees otherwise he will be lost. The help of the Creator is the same quantity as one is sincere and honest in the prayer or the request of the inner being. The pleading of an outer being looks at the crying of a baby. They don't have the right intention, strength, or essence of the inner movement. And in a diverse way, the fullness of a wish, the full-grown phase Malchut, makes the Partzofim that lies in the higher, gives according to the actions of the lower steps. He doesn't progress in his work. He also sees he regresses, and he lacks the strength to observe Torah and mitzvot, even if not for her name. Only by genuinely overcoming all the obstacles beyond reason he can observe Torah and mitzvot. He doesn't always have the strength to overcome beyond reason. He is forced to deviate, God forbid, from the way of the Creator, and even from not her name. This is the experience when one gives attention at the outer being. From the perspective of the inner being, one is constantly movement to his goal. Belief beyond knowledge is a conscious striving from the inner being for the only creating strength. The comprehension of the concrete knowledge comes in intervals and merges together with the constant stream of eternity and fullness. The outer being overcomes the inner being. The outer step that is clothed with the qualities of the spiritual worlds, Partsofim and Sefirot, is always in the front. They reign, therefore, over the clothed inner steps. And he who feels he is shattered is greater than the whole, meaning there are a lot more descents than ascents. He doesn't see an end to these predicaments. He will forever, for he sees it is difficult for him to observe even as little as a jot, unless through overcoming beyond reason. But he's not always able to overcome. And what shall be the end? Then he reaches the decision. No one can help him, only God himself. He doesn't see the possibility to stand still for a moment and be satisfied with what he has reached, to have pleasure in what he deserved. Contrary, again and again, he is preparing himself for the possibility of a new correction from above, so he can win time and go faster to his goal. In this phase of spiritual work, he understands there's nobody who has goodness in him. Only the creating strength is the essence of goodness. He can only receive the good when he had purified his wishes beforehand. This causes him to make a heartfelt demand of the Creator to open his eyes and heart, to bring him nearer to the eternal adhesion with him. It follows that all the rejections he had experienced had come from the Creator. Till so far, he had imagined there was something good in him. In this way, he created an upper class in himself that covered the one and the only true goodness in him. How could he ask him for help when he had the conviction there is already someone in him at who he could rely on, namely the good in him, the server of all his hope and expectations? This is named the service of strange gods. But when he let it disappear, this good God, then the only good will be revealed for him. And eventually he notices it is very difficult to make the smallest movement in the spiritual. Considering the good, there's nothing what reminds him at his own egoism. Eyes, light, chokmah; heart, light, hasidim. Only these two forms, the light of correction. A person in our world has, of course, no masach. He misuses only nerdakik, the most unimportant light. Is it for him impossible to imagine the 10 sfirot with the inner and the outer forms of light that have influence on him and can correct him? The law of agreement and quality is working every layer of the creation. Also in our world, there is an analogy in this world with the spiritual worlds, with the same order of the 10 sefirot, although man can't see for the moment. But in potential it is present always. Besides, mi besari echeze lokah, from my body, wishes, I shall see the divine, the spiritual. It follows that, meaning the rejections he had experienced were not because he was mistaking for not having the ability to overcome, but because these rejections are for those who truly want to draw nearer to him, and in order for such a person not to be satisfied with only a little, namely not to remain as a senseless little child. Therefore he receives help from above, so he will not be able to say, thank God. He observes the Torah, the prescriptions, and the good deeds, and then he sees he's lacking. The rejections in him are necessary to call or to increase in him the wish to give him enough strength to get what we have discussed above. The small condition, katnut, without da'at, without knowledge, without the capability to let the ascent of man, without the strength to plead at a higher step or to demand correction for to come in the large condition, gadlut, Besides, in this condition, he can perform with the light of zivug de hakah, and draw this in his kelim. He is absolutely not capable to bring himself in agreement, in quality, with the Creator. And only when he has a true desire, he will receive help from above. Constantly, he's showing his faults in his present state, meaning he's sent thoughts and views that will work against his efforts. This is in order for him to see he's not one with the Creator, and as much as he overcomes, he always sees how he's found in a position further from holiness than others, who feel one with the Lord. What kind of help does he receive from above that shows him he's not all right? The true wish for the spiritual can come only from the inner being. For the moment he is in full connection, or he is filled with the light of the Creator without the understanding of hakarat hara, the understanding of his own evil. In every situation, in every wish, he has to ask immediately, from where comes this wish? From the inner or the outer being? Only after thoroughly investigating he can make a decision. And on the other hand, he always has complaints and demands. He cannot justify the behavior of the Creator and how he behaves with him. And it pains him that he is not one with the Creator until he comes to feel he has no part in holiness whatsoever. And although he is occasionally awakened from above, which momentarily revives him, but soon after he falls into an abyss. He has nothing good in himself. There's a very common picture in the spiritual work. Again, this is a very common picture in the spiritual work. This is needed to bring him to understanding that only the Creator can help him to let him really to near him. However, this is what causes him to come to realize that only the Creator can help and really draw him closer. A man always has to try and cleave to the Creator, namely all his thoughts will be about him. That is to say, even when he is in his worst state, from which there cannot be a greater descent, he should not leave his domain, namely to think there is another authority which prevents him from entering into holiness, and in which has the power to either benefit or harm. Meaning he must not think there is a matter of the power of the Sitra Achra, other side, which does not allow him to do good deeds and follow his ways, but he should think it is all done by the Creator. Let him always bend at the right side. Only a little is sufficient. There's action to liberate oneself of the strength of the Creator. In the observation of the spiritual, when he does let ascend the wish to the level of the thoughts, the root of this wish. Discuss all your questions only with him. Do not accuse him because everything comes from him. The Baal Shem Tov said, he who says there is another power in the world, namely shells, is in a state of serving other gods. He is not trespassing but by his unclean thoughts, but if he thinks there is another authority and force apart from the Creator, by that one he commits a sin. The impure strength in his observation. For the Creator, nothing is impure. Furthermore, he who says man has his own authority, who thinks there is an independent force in him, meaning he says, yesterday I did not follow his path, that too is considered to be committing the sin of heresy. He does not believe that only the Creator leads the world. But when he has committed a sin, and he must certainly regret it and be sorry for having committed it, but here too we should place the pain and sorrow in the right order. Where does he place the cause of the sin? That is the point he should be sorry for. And a man should feel sorry and say, I committed that sin because the Creator hurled me down from holiness to a place of filth, to the lavatory, where the filth is. He has the choice to use this wish of the Creator, yes or no. Human being is created with a package of wishes. It is not given to him to alternate or to dispose them. His free choice is limited to the way he uses it, as a consequence of his intensive work with the Creator, who created him as a receiver. He has to overcome his wishes and try to become the same as he, as the Creator. What is to say, a giving person. And also, when a man feels he is in a state of ascent and tastes some good flavor in the work, he must not say, now I'm in a state where I understand it is worthwhile to worship him. Rather, he should know that now the Lord has fancied him, and for that reason he draws him near, which is the reason why he tastes a good flavor in the work. And he should be careful never to leave the domain of holiness and say there's another operating force besides the Creator. When a person experiences a descending, although he's acting in a correct way, keeps himself busy with Torah and does good deeds, he has to involve the Creator in what he's doing. In the process to become whole with him, these descendings are the most profitable and diverse. It is a momentum coming from above. It is not quite the earning of the person alone. Both, they are extreme circumstances he has to go through in one time. These situations are both a challenge and for the next uplifting. Please refer to the written materials for the text written in Hebrew, and at the end of the lesson, table from 4 columns. What to correct, with what, the result, and goal. Be well until the next lesson.